Pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13, in relation to Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate, I now move that we proceed with the election of chairpersons of various standing committees of the Senate.
There is a motion. Hearing none, same is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we elect as chairperson of the Committee on Economic Affairs the Honorable Juan Miguel Zubiri as chairman, Vice Senator Mark Villar. I so move, Mr. President.
Senate President Zubiri is so elected. Senate President Zubiri is recognized.
I want to thank Senator Mark Villar for graciously allowing me to chair the committee, and I committed to him being our senior vice chair later on when we elect the members, to make him the senior vice chair of the committee. Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with my senior vice chair.
So noted. The remarks of Senate President Zubiri are noted for the record. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we elect Honorable Senator Mark Villar as chairperson of the Committee on Government, Corporations, and Public Enterprises, Vice the Honorable Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
An objection? Hearing none, Senator Cayetano, Senator Villar is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect as chairman of the Committee on Trade and Industry the Honorable Alan Peter Cayetano, Vice the Honorable Senator Mark Villar. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senator Cayetano is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairperson of the Committee on Energy, the Honorable Senator Pia Cayetano, Vice the Honorable Senator Rafi Tulfo. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senator Pia Cayetano is so elected.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we elect the chairperson of the Committee on Finance, the Honorable Senator Grace Poe, Vice the Honorable Senator Sani Angara.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, Senator Poe is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairman of the Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education, the Honorable Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Vice the Honorable Senator Francis Chis Escudero. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, Senator Cayetano is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairman of the Committee on Justice and Human Rights, and I move that this be acted expeditiously, considering that Senator Angara is highly qualified. Vice this representation, Mr. President. I so move.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, Senator Angara is so elected. Senator Angara is recognized. You may proceed, sir.
I will accept so long as the new majority leader will not give me so many instructions, Mr. President.
Duly noted, Senator Angara, and with thanks.
Justice Angara is more than qualified, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, you may proceed.
Mr. President, I move that we elect as chairperson of the Committee on Social Development Goals, and subject to the right terminology that would be provided by the Sustainable Development Goals, subject to the appropriate terminology to be provided by the Secretariat, the Honorable Nancy Binay, Maria Lourdes Binay, as the chairperson, Vice Senator Pia Cayetano.
Senator Nancy Binay is so elected. There being no objection,
Mr. President, I move that we re-elect as the chairman of the Committee on Local Government the Honorable Senator J.V. Ejercito. I so move, Mr. President.
is there any objection? Hearing none, Senator J.V. Ejercito is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairman of the Committee on Labor, subject to the right terminology of the committee nomenclature, the Honorable Joel Villanueva, as the chairman thereof, Vice Senator Jinggoy Estrada. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senator Joel Villanueva is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairman of the Committee on Public Services, the Honorable Senator Rafi Tulfo, Vice Senator Grace Poe. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, Senator Rafi Tulfo is so elected.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairman of the Committee on Tourism, the Honorable Senator Manuel Lito Lapid, Vice the Honorable Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy S. Binay. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senator Lapid is so elected.
Mr. President, I move for a minute suspension to enable us to congratulate the newly elected chairman of various positions.
Session is suspended. Is resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Urban Planning, Housing, and Resettlement, the Honorable Senator Amy R. Marcos, Vice Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senator Amy Marcos is so elected.
Mr. President, may we have a minute suspension?
Session suspended.
Mr. President, just a manifestation, Mr. President. I was informed that the RCEP Oversight Committee is an oversight committee lodged with the office of whomsoever is the Senate President pro tempore, Mr. President. Number two, Mr. President, the existing Special Committee on Maritime Zones and Maritime and Admiralty Zones is a query and a point of inquiry insofar as this representation is concerned. Would it be a continuing committee or would it be
As is,
held? Yes.
as is in the regular course of business, until and unless a replacement shall have been elected vice the incumbent or concurrent chairman, in order so as not to stifle the functioning of the committees, whoever is the chairman shall continue to serve as the same until he or she shall have been replaced, as the case may be, in order not to affect the functioning of the committees.
How did it?
Senate President Zubiri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. Yeah, I just wanted to find out for clarification that the RCEP is a treaty, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So was it placed in the treaty that the Senate President pro temp is actually going to sit in the Oversight Committee, their Majority Leader, Mr. President? Or was it placed in the treaty? Or was it only approved in the resolution that we agreed upon here? Oh, okay, may I ask
The information I got from the former Senate President pro tempore is that the oversight function, the chairperson of that oversight committee, is attached to the position of whomsoever is the Senate President pro tempore. Therefore, it follows that if a person, if a new committee chair is elected, he performs the same functions, Mr. President.
Yeah, you want me to clarify it?
Yeah, yes, Mr.
Senator
President.
Legarda is recognized. You may proceed, ma'am.
Allow me to clarify it, since that was a time when the Senate President and this representation defended and co-sponsored the concurrence in the ratification of the Regional Cooperation Economic Agreement, the RCEP. And so we had several provisions in consultation with the sectors who were challenging it or were not in favor. And when the Senate unanimously agreed to pass or concur in the ratification of the RCEP, we put a colatilia, if I may use that word, where an oversight committee will be created to regularly monitor our compliance with the RCEP and its effects on agriculture, MSMEs, and various sectors in our economy. And so the Senate President pro tempore at the time, this representation, conducted hearings. In fact, I was supposed to have a hearing the other day, but because of the change, I canceled the hearing. So I wanted it reflected that the change obviously would go to the Senate President pro tempore so that we are in compliance with the regular oversight hearings, which is part and parcel of the concurred in treaty. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Senator Legarda. Senator Cayetano is recognized.
Mr. President, in the past, oversight committees, we allowed the chamber to designate a representative or to delegate upon the concurrence of the members. Senate President Pro Tem Estrada would like to ask if Senator Lauren Legarda is willing to continue, because it's such a complicated but important treaty that if she is willing to continue chairing that oversight committee, Senator Estrada will be more than grateful. Yeah. It's her choice, Mr. President. I'm just saying in the past, we have delegated members of the oversight committee.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
I appreciate the intervention of the good senator, but we unanimously approved the concurrence in the ratification of the treaty and specifically mentioned the office of the Senate President pro tempore. In fact, it wasn't even the Foreign Relations Chair. And so, allow me to share the interest and knowledge of this very challenging RCEP, right? So we leave it to the body. Please let the Senate President pro tempore conduct the hearings. Thank you, Mr. President.
If the chair may intervene, with the permission of the lady and gentleman on the floor, the designated representative to the RCEP is the office of the Senate President pro tempore, which means the Senate President pro tempore himself or herself, or he may designate a member to so take his place. It's just like the EDCOM. Under the law, it should be the chairman of the Committee on Higher Education and Basic Education, and I designated a member, in fact, our distinguished minority floor leader, to represent me in the EDCOM too. So if Senator Estrada will allow,
Maybe seek a 1 minute suspension. Mr.
session suspended.
Senate President Pro Temp Senator Estrada will take on the responsibility unless in caucus he decides that some person or committee would like to take the task. But at this point, Mr. Senate President, may I move that we elect the chairperson of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. May we elect Senator Tolentino, our majority leader, as chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges.
There is a motion. Hearing none, Senator Tolentino is so elected.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. Ethics Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the good senator from Taguig. May we have a point of inquiry, Mr. President, as to the status of the Oversight Committee?
Can the gentleman, can the majority leader reiterate the motion?
Have we finally...
The maritime?
No, Mr. President. The query of Senator Ligarda.
Senator Cayetano earlier stated when he was performing his function, a function as acting majority floor leader, that Senator Jinggoy may so decide, but as of yet he has not.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So we will await that decision after conferring with Senator Ligarda.
Mr. President, at this juncture, Mr. President, the minority leader is seeking the floor.
On the topic, Mr. President, on the same topic of the RCEP
The
oversight
minority
committee,
leader is recognized. You may proceed, sir.
I looked at the resolution of concurrence. It's very specific. The oversight committee is headed by the Senate President pro tempore, Mr. President. So actually, that was the mechanism we invented when we concurred in that particular treaty. It follows the position. So we have to follow our resolution of concurrence. Delikado i-amend, Mr. President, because I do not know kung pwede nga i-amend yun kasi communicated na po yata sa United Nations or sa Secretariat of the treaty, Mr. President. So, in the opinion of this representation, we invented this mechanism. It follows, the chairmanship of that oversight committee follows the position, Mr. President.
The chair stands corrected. The opinion enunciated by our distinguished minority floor leader is well taken. Having read the specific provision of the law, and for the information of our minority floor leader, there is no way by which we can amend it at this point in time. Majority leader is recognized. Senator Legarda is recognized. You may proceed, ma'am.
Mr. President, just so that it's on record, the RCEP resolution, I would like to quote, that the Special Oversight Committee on the RCEP agreement is hereby created and shall be headed by the Senate President pro tempore with the following members, and it states the members: majority, minority leaders, chairpersons of the following committees: agriculture, foreign relations, etc. So it's very clear, Mr. President. So I agree with the minority leader that it would be difficult to change the contents of a concurrence. It was a unanimous except maybe one. Yeah, resolution. Okay. Oh, the deputy minority said that she did not concur. But anyway, it was a majority, almost majority, more than 2/3 concurrence. So having said that, I appreciate my colleagues in granting me the privilege of continuing the work. And I can tell you it's very interesting and very, very challenging. However, to make life simpler and to abide by the resolution, we leave it with the office of the pro tempore. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair would like to thank the magnanimity of Senator Legarda.
Mr. President,
Senator Estrada?
on another item, Senator Estrada.
Senator
is seeking the
Estrada.
floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. As your new Senate President pro temp, I am willing to accept the challenge, and I will have to fulfill my duties and responsibilities as your Senate President pro temp. And if I can make
On another matter.
on another matter, Mr. President,
The gentleman may proceed.
with regard to resolutions number 1024, 1020, 1025, 1028, introduced by all of these resolutions were introduced by Senator Padilla and was referred to committees on agriculture. I was 1024, the resolution number 1024 is referred to the Committee on Agriculture. 1025, Committee on Environment, and 1028, Committee on Agriculture, which is both chaired by Senator Cynthia Villar. And Senator Cynthia Villar has already agreed to form a subcommittee which shall be chaired by Senator Robin Padilla, Mr. President.
The remarks of our Senate President pro tempore are duly noted. The subcommittees are to be created by Senator Villar, authorizing Senator Padilla to so conduct hearings during the break.
Mr. President, we therefore withdraw our previous manifestation that the same be referred to the Committee on Rules, and we concur with the manifestation of the Senate President pro tempore to enable our colleague here, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, to conduct hearings, multiple hearings during the break, Mr. President.
The withdrawal is duly noted.